Of course it's being recorded. What the hell? It's time.
Hi, everybody.
What's going on?
Time to talk pictures.
Hi,
There,
Don.
Sid.
Hi, Lauren.
What was that? Your hand or a puppet?
Oh, that was my hand. Just doing a little adjustments there.
Recording in progress.
I thought that was like a rap song going there.
Freestyle it up.
Freestyling, baby.
I've been thinking of you the last few days. We bought a timeout camper because I drive a little tiny Toyota Yaris car,
Oh yeah.
and we've been using a pop-up camper my parents bought, and they're too old to use it, and we have to borrow their truck anytime we want to take it up to see our friends up in northern New Hampshire. And we've been talking about it for a long time, and we were looking at teardrops, but they're right at that weight level where I'm still not confident that a little tiny car can pull them. And so a friend of mine was just like, you should check out these motorcycle campers that they have. Like they're
Yep.
small enough cars can pull them. And they're fantastic. So it seems that most of them are only bought and sold sort of in the Midwest. But I joined one of these Facebook groups, and within 24 hours, I asked about one, and a guy that was 20 minutes south of me, he was like, I have a 2019. He's like, I don't use it. I've used it 3 times since I bought it. He's like, come down, take a look at it. And we came home with it. So it's incredible. It's absolutely amazing. So next weekend, we're going to be going back up north with it, and that'll be sort of our test. And we're very excited.
Yeah, I met a guy up in Utah on a bike with a little timeout behind it.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're huge. They're so big
huge.
for what
You guys-
like what it is. It's
You guys,
crazy.
these things are like so small that a motorcycle can pull it.
Yes,
with
345 pounds or something like that.
Yeah. No strain to the bike at all. You go around the corners and have fun with your bike, right? Then when you pop it open, it's like the size of a small house trailer. It really is. 2 beds, the whole bit. Phenomenal.
Yeah, this one's got a queen size sleeping
Yeah.
area on one end, and then it's like 65 cubic square feet of. It's huge. It's monstrous for the size that it is, and it's like Jenga. The thing like folds out twice on this side, and it folds out on this side, and it's nuts. So that was very exciting. So I thought of you when we were towing it home. I'm just kind of like, wonder if I can pull this with the scooter.
We've been toying with getting a pickup truck.
Mhm.
But I was watching Spencer Cornelius the other day, and those of you who like investments and things, just hear me out on this. This is fairly interesting. This is a new company where you rent your car through them. You rent your car. My little Elantra out there, the average rental on the Elantra is between $80 and $100 a day in the winter. So if I rented my Elantra 5 days a week, it pays the car payment. So Spencer has this whole thing. At the end of 2 years, Spencer is going to own a McLaren. That's his goal. He wants to own a McLaren. Now, I don't know how much a McLaren costs, but I have a feeling there's about a $200-something price tag. And what he's going to end up doing is having the McLaren rented out 5 days a week for something like $450 a day. And it pays the fee on it. So we've been thinking, well, maybe we'll take both our cars, put it on there, have them rent those cars, and have an income coming in and buy 2 new ones. I'm really thinking about it. He's an entrepreneur. He just went out and bought a Ford Focus. And he's renting that car, and he's renting it so far about 28 days a month. 28 days a month, making about $60 a day every time it rents. And they handle everything. They handle the key drop off. They handle the cleaning of the car, everything. Pretty interesting.
Weird.
Maybe I could get a little camper van that way. All right. So you guys, Photo Talk Friday. Glad to have you all here. Glad to see Sophie. We haven't seen Sophie in a while. How are you, Sophie?
I'm fine, thank you. Yeah, it's been a while.
Sophie, you cut your hair.
Yes, that's the normal style. That's the real
Oh,
one.
that's the normal one.
That's the normal. It's back to normal.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
Thank you.
Very cool.
Busy making photos.
Good,
I've even been hired to take photos now.
as you should be.
Well, yeah, but it's one of the dancers that I've been photographing for a while. She was like, I need 2 shoots for my 2 new shows, but
Yeah.
I'm paying you this time.
Good.
I was like, okay.
Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
How is everything in your area? Have they lifted all the restrictions and stuff?
Since yesterday, we don't have to wear these guys in the street anymore. And there's no more, as from Sunday, no more curfew.
Good.
But which is nice. The restaurants are reopening and stuff. So it does feel nice. It feels weird as well. On Saturday, I was in Nice and I had not been out. You know, I went to see a photo exhibition and it's like, and it was busy, but not crazy busy in town. But at some point, like 2 or 3 times, people brushed past me quite fast, not touching me or anything, but you know, quite close. And I literally went, I've lost the habit. It's just like, it's lovely to be out.
It comes back real don't
Yeah,
worry.
yeah.
It comes back really fast. Our stores here basically have a sign on the door that masks are recommended if you're not vaccinated or you can't distance yourself. So most people go, I'll just distance myself. But to be able to walk into a store, I still find myself going, oh, that's right. I don't have to, I still take a mask.
Oh no, we have the mask for indoors. We still have that, but it's still a lot. It's really hot, not compared to you, Don, but still it's getting hot for us, and not to have to wear it during the day outside is already like, yes.
I think right now, Phoenix and the Southwest is pretty much owning the heat of the world right now. I don't know if anybody else is any hotter, except I understand Palm Springs was 123 and Death Valley was 126 degrees on the ground. Now, I will remind you that when you see Phoenix is 117, that's in the shade. That's air temperature 10 feet off the ground at Sky Harbor. Air temperature, not standing in the sun. Trust me when I say it's considerably warmer when you're standing in the sun. I went out and mowed the lawn today. I had to wear my little gardening hat and everything. I mean, it's brutal, but they got a little rain up north yesterday. That was cool. Looks like they're getting a little bit more rain today. Looks like there's going to be some big Gulf storms that are going to come in from the Gulf of Mexico into Louisiana, which may suck for Louisiana, but it may pull some moisture over towards us. You know, we'll take anything. You know, it's like we're at the point where we go, yeah, sorry to be you, Louisiana, just bring the damn flood us. We want it. We need all of it we can get. So what are you going to do? It's a full, my house will keep my house at 77 degrees. And when you think about it, it's a full 40 degrees, 77, 87, 87, 107. Yeah, 40 degrees difference between walking out my front door.
Wow. That's madness.
No, thank you.
Yeah, but it is dry. It is dry, which is nice because I've got 2 pizzas going for lunch right here on the porch, not spending the nickel. So how you guys doing? Photography's crazy, huh?
Actually, Dan, I've been working on portfolio all morning,
Good.
and I share with you. We have 2. One that is the P52, the one that we edit, and then the other one which is just pure editorial with an extra little folder, subfolder for it's the farm. But and it has a lot. And I think I'm asking way too much from you. So I'm using my luck right now.
No, don't worry
But
about it.
it's just, you have,
No, don't worry about it.
You-
I invite you to do that. I'm not going to say, oh, and only send me a few pictures because I'm
yeah,
too busy mowing the lawn. No,
yeah,
we're
but
good.
you have access to change, edit, cut, whatever. Delete, you can delete photos like crazy.
So I can grab your pictures and like put smiley faces on all the people.
Yeah,
Oh, that'll be
you
fun.
have that.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm down
But
with that.
that's, and I've been working on the website text. This is original text right now
Okay.
as it goes, edited by Derek. And so busy times, yes.
Yeah. Keep it short. That little about thing should be about 350 to 450 words max.
Oh, 340,
Yeah, just max.
250.
And I will tell you this, nobody cares where you went to school. Nobody gives a damn that you were fascinated by photography 3 years ago. Nobody cares about.
What do you mean they don't care?
No, they don't. I mean, they really don't. They go, so I see these about pages and I go, I first picked a camera up when I was 14 and I knew it was for me. And it's like, yeah, nobody cares. It's like, yeah, we all have that experience. Tell them what you bring to photography. Tell them why you're a photographer. Not that you think it's cool or that, you have 117 Instagram followers or anything like that. But just, what the true love, what people want to do is work with people who are passionate about what you're hiring them to do. We had a guy came out and did our yard. See, Sid, we have a little tiny, our backyard's so small. We moved from a house that had we were on a full half acre.
Mm-hmm.
Our backyard is so small that my wife would go in the backyard and sob,
Oh.
just cry. I mean, it is tiny. Now we're used to it. So, whatever. And she's got it beautiful. There's plants everywhere. It's just a garden. But we wanted to put something in. We met a guy at the Home Depot who was given a talk on patios and stuff. This guy is as passionate about your patio, about the right plants. I mean, his eyes light up. We hired him. And then we let him do what he said, well, what do you want? I said, well, what do you think would look good here? Oh, well, let's do that. Because you're like the god of things, man, not me. So it's important to be excited about what it is. And nobody, I didn't go, well, where did you get your degree in concrete mixology or something? Who cares?
So I think UNAM is going away.
Yeah, I know.
MBA
There's a
goes away.
big tendency, especially if you have a dergi. If you get a dergi from somewhere, you want to tell everybody you got that dergi. And in this business, no one cares.
Yeah.
So.
Very good.
Have you ever had anybody ask you, Sid, for your, like if you've
No.
Did you?
No, I haven't. You know what? More clients or people mulling about the corporate offices. More people are more concerned about like what kind of camera I'm using, let me say they like to compare whatever they have against whatever I'm using.
Yes. And Sid remembers the old days. Sid remembers the old days. The old days.
Well, it's funny because it's like when I was teaching workshops and stuff, people would show up with cameras that, like I was still using an original 5D and people would have 5D Mark IIIs and all this kind of stuff. But the interesting thing was like they had just bought it and, they're still fiddling around with all the functions and they can't quite get the settings all locked in. And it's just like 5D, man, like I can use that thing blindfolded. Like the thing's an extension of my hand. And so, yeah. But nobody's ever asked me where I went to school. It was just like.
In the old days, you'd show up with a Nikon F3. Nobody. Yeah. The art director didn't have a Nikon F3. They had point and shoots. They had, holiday cameras and stuff. Now you show up at a wedding or wedding photographers show up with a 5D Mark II to do a killer. Uncle Joe's got a 5D Mark IV and a great big old piece of glass. And, Aunt Sadie's sporting a Nikon Z7. I mean, it's just that way. They're ubiquitous now.
Yeah.
And the quality of the beginning cameras, the Rebel TIs and the stuff, they are now where Mark IIs were.
Yes.
10 years
And just remember, there is somebody right now somewhere with a Canon Digital Rebel, a little 6.3 megapixel blah, and they're making images that can kick all of our asses. Like it's not,
Yep.
it's not. So yeah, but
Yep.
nobody's ever asked me where I went to school. The only education they care about is what's on the website or, you know, the work that I've done prior. That's all they care about.
All they've ever asked me is, why are you such an ass? Only,
Why are you the way you are?
I don't have a reason for them. I just basically nod and go, cuz. Yeah, no, this whole I talk people out of going to photo school whenever possible. I do.
I think it's all just a matter of learning. Everybody learns differently. You know, some people learn from the internet. I mean, I know a whole group of photographers now where that's how they've learned. They've learned just by going online and
Some good
learning
ones.
stuff. Yeah. And some people, for me, the best way for me to learn was I needed 4 years to just concentrate and not have to worry about anything else but learning the craft and learning how the camera works, learning about developing and printing and all this garbage. And for me that worked, but it's nice that there are different avenues that you can go down. So it's like, you know, sometimes some people poo-poo school and I'm like,
I poo-poo taking the loan out.
Right. Yeah. That's the sucky part is that, you know, you're going to have to pay for it forever.
I was going to say, you don't have a giant student loan hanging over you now, do you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. And I went to a smaller college. You know, when I first started where I went, they hadn't even been accredited yet. So the tuition, it was interesting once they got accredited with NASA and all that crap to watch the tuition go up and stuff. And I don't throw, you know, like I just take care of the minimum payments and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I knew this young kid at Flickr, and he graduated from the Rochester Institute of Photography with a $172,000 student loan.
Yeah. I know kids. Hallmark was right down the road from us. And I know people that went to Hallmark, and like Hallmark doesn't even exist anymore. You know, and they would like, man, they would factor, you know, kids were graduating and they were all excited because they're like, check out this new pro photo kit that I got. And I've got the latest medium format digital and blah, 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 not realizing that, you know, they're hiking those prices into what they're going to eventually have to pay off. And then the school goes under and now they don't know what to do. And then they've got all this equipment that they don't know how to regroup from that. That's pretty terrible.
But having said that, there's limits to YouTube because I'm finally trying to learn Photoshop. And I thought that's fantastic. All these great teachers on YouTube. You follow the thing and it doesn't do it.
Yeah.
And you don't know why. And you know there's maybe a button ticked somewhere, but you haven't got a clue where it is. And 3 hours later, you're crying.
Yep.
The only two people
Absolutely.
I follow religiously on Photoshop is Enmesh, and Flern.
Yeah, me too.
There's one called
and
Photoshop
I'm
Cafe. He's pretty good, but sometimes he's, you know, sometimes sometimes you pull the YouTube up and you don't realize it's 4 years old and they're using a 5-year-old Photoshop, and you're going, my menu doesn't look like that.
Yeah.
By the way, have you seen the new feature on Photoshop? You guys play with it?
I watched the tutorial you shared, but I didn't play with it.
Depth of field, baby.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, and Sid, it's like better than it should be.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it?
It's pretty good. It's pretty damn good. Yep. It actually isolates the subject and then puts the level of, you know, so it's a little bit out of focus in the front. You know, that's in focus, and it gradually gets more in focus as the AI determines things are farther away.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, that's nuts. It's nuts.
It's crazy.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I haven't updated I'm still running an older operating system on my processing computer. So I haven't, some of the newer stuff I haven't.
Are you on Mac or PC?
I'm on Mac. And I have two computers. I have my main processing computer where I do everything, and then I have this one, which is basically turned into my Zoom computer now because it's a little bit older and it's a little hinky in some areas.
iMac.
Yeah.
So for schools, this doesn't maybe fit for most people, but Don may realize this, that Elizabeth and I both went to Rocky Mountain School of Photography years ago, and it's just
Only one I recommend.
What's that?
The only one I recommend.
Yeah, I don't know what it costs now. It's probably 12 or 14,000 for a 10-week. I don't know, but it's immersive. There were professional photographers who were making a living that went there, who were sort of specializing in one thing and wanted to branch out. And it was a good program. It's 5 days a week of instruction with assignments galore and a little bit of everything, and guest speakers who are successful at many things, a wedding photographer, a National Geographic travel photographer, major commercial photographers, whether it's automotive or, tabletop kind of stuff. So if you did want to dive into something, yeah, I would at least consider that. Yeah. I don't know what they're like now because that was years ago. So digital just beginning.
Did you do digital or did you do film?
I did film, and then they had an inaugural digital program, an extra 4 weeks, and I stayed for that.
Okay, because I must admit that I don't know what their digital program is. I know their film program was just the best.
I gotta believe they know how to do that too. The one guy who taught Photoshop was awesome. He'd pull up the screen for everybody, and he'd say, you got all, because Photoshop can do everything, right? Get all these things all over the place, and he'd say, see this section over here? That's not for you. See this section over here? That's not for you. This right here, you want to look right here. But he got everybody to very quickly learn how to correct their images, dodge and burn, work with multiple layers. And this was 2003, so very early on. So they knew what they were doing. They were good.
Yeah, they were really, really good with film photographers, and I like their approach. At the time, they didn't do those critiques that you get in art school, or this is crap. What was going through your head? All those denigrating, terrible art center critiques that people had to sit through and be embarrassed by and everything. I don't think you learn that way when you're critiqued that way. I think the moment that someone starts down that path, you are now feeling shame and etc., and you're not hearing the critique. You've got to hear the critique or there's no point to it. So
yeah, that's true. That was true when I was there, and they didn't talk about everybody's images, but they would, they did. They were not dissimilar to the way Don does it in the weekly group meetings.
Yeah, I really liked them. I think the other school that I used to like a lot was Art Center in LA. Because Art Center was both photography and graphic design and advertising. So if you were a smart photographer, you made friends with all the art directors because they were going to go out and get a job in an ad agency, and you're going to get called. Photographers who are not smart make friends with all the other photographers. From a business standpoint, that makes no sense. It really doesn't, but they were pretty demanding and really taught a high level. If y'all remember, what's the one I was in Santa Barbara for 100 years, that thing, guys, what was the name of it? Something School of Photography.
I know what you mean. Very formal.
Yeah, I can't remember. It was like a part of everyday conversation in photography. Brooks.
Yes.
Brooks Institute of Photography. The joke about Brooks Institute of Photography, which wasn't really a joke because I saw it in action, is if you gave a pie to 5 art center photographers, you'd get back 5 totally different pies. If you gave it to 5 Brooks photographers, you'd get back the same shot. Just like the same shot. They didn't encourage Sid and Sophie and Lauren to find their own way. They had the way. This is how you shoot a pie. The light goes here. And when you put your pie up there, they're going to measure the light from where they told you to put it. And that was, Brooks was kind of, but a lot of photographers from Brooks got jobs. What do you call them? Like regular jobs,
Yeah.
working for Motorola. A lot of those people, the staff photographers, were Brooks trained because they were well trained. Plus, if you're going to go to school, I mean, Santa Barbara is like, that's a no-brainer. We'll do that. And where was Hallmark? Kansas City, right?
Hallmark was right down here in Boston.
Oh, was it?
Yep.
Yep. And it
Yep.
had nothing to do, by the way, with Hallmark greeting cards, which I think are in
No.
Kansas City. I think that's where.
No.
Right. Yep.
But it was interesting because I would get a lot of calls. I would get calls from parents, and they'd be like, my son or daughter's interested in photography, and we noticed she went to the New Hampshire Institute of Art, and would you recommend that? And I would always say, like, there's sort of right now there's kind of two avenues. There's the more fine art college where they dedicate 4 years to learning the craft, but they also educate themselves with every aspect of art there is. There's and they get a chance to, take painting and life drawing and everything so that they can, if they want to get into photography, they can sort of cull from that background and hopefully have more resources to go towards whatever their look is, which is kind of nice because it was not, like a lot of times people, especially musicians I work with, they look at the images and say that they have a very painterly feel, which, I don't know if I see that, but I think it's because I had a more formal, rounded, education in line, tone, texture, shape, color beyond just photography. Or like another avenue is when Hallmark was down the road, I would say, are they looking to get more into the commercial thing where, when they graduate, they're going to hit the ground running as a more commercial photographer, getting a job at a company, maybe shooting in a company's, internal photography bay or something like that. So it was kind of nice. It was nice to try to help parents or students sort of figure out what they may have wanted. But nowadays, I mean, it's just like you could jump on David Hobby's site. And I mean, that's pretty much a school in and of itself with all the stuff that he does on Strobist and everything. So
yeah,
there's so many different avenues nowadays.
You could learn to be a digitech from watching Flern for 6 months.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's a job that in LA, Dallas, your bigger towns, that's a job that pays between 800 and 1,000 a day. If you work 3 days a week, and you can if you're a good digitech, even in Phoenix, you could probably work 3 days a week as a digitech. That's not bad money. With a very small investment, you need a couple of external drives and an iMac 27-inch, and you're out the door. You're in business. That's crazy. So it's interesting when you were talking there about the different types of photographer. I have always been aware that when I say photographer, that's not a thing that anybody can latch on to, because everybody has a different version of what photographer means. If I say photographer in front of my neighbor, they instantly go weddings, children, maternity pictures, because the only time they've ever hired a photographer were for those things.
Yep.
When Dan Milner, do you follow Dan Milner on YouTube, Sid?
No.
Oh, I'll send you a link. You should follow him. When he says photographer, he's talking about long form photojournalism. And he'll say, well, photography is dead. Well, long form photojournalism.
Yeah. His little tiny thing.
Yeah. What's the old thing? It's not dead. It just smells funny,
Yeah.
So it's not dead, but it's changing rapidly. You can't get hired. But a lot of long form photojournalists are now doing it on their own and selling the stories to different places or creating books or what have you. So they've had to find other channels of income. Every once in a while, he'll catch himself and say, well, now commercial guys that's different. That's commercial. But he'll just use the word photographer. Commercial photographers will go, oh, yeah, this is what you should do when you're writing a contract. And then, photojournalists go, what? Photography is an action. Photography alone, I don't think describes a career. I think it just describes the tool we use to work, and it can be very confusing. And I tell all commercial photographers, you've got to explain what.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
I don't question.
Uh-huh.
What's the difference between commercial and product? If you say
Nothing.
commercial photographer, or
Commercial's
product,
an
is
umbrella.
it the same?
Commercial is an umbrella. What it means is you're being hired by a third party.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So if you're shooting product, you're shooting for a magazine. Editorial comes under the umbrella of commercial photography. Weddings are not commercial because you're being hired by the subject themselves. Same with maternity or babies or any of that. That's consumer photography.
Yep.
And then you have commercial photography. Then you have, for lack of a better term, photojournalism, which is storytelling, a little bit of editorial, because editorial will slip under photojournalism as well. It used to far more than it does now. A lot of books, etc. And that was being generally, if you were a photojournalist, you worked for a publishing company, Life, Look, National Geographic, Geo, somewhere, that business. And that was always destined to die, always, because the idea of the magazine, started slipping away. And National Geographic is still around, right?
Yes.
Am I correct? It is still
I
around.
believe
but
it is. Yeah.
certainly not what it used to be. There would be photographers. I remember a guy came here to Phoenix to talk to ASMP. Oh God, 35 years ago, more. And I was just all whenever you start in photography, tell me now, we're all a gaga of Nat Geo photographers, right? We want 6 months.
That's where you want to work.
assignments.
That's it. Yeah. That's what everybody jokes about too. It's like, oh, I want to be a photographer. And they'll be like, oh, you're going to work for National Geographic?
Yeah. Again, because that's where the public really touched photography. Well, Nat Geo sent him to do the Nile River. 6 months. 6 months.
Yeah.
All he had to do, he'd send 40, 50 rolls of film back at the end of the week. It'd be in the mail, back, right? They don't do 6-month assignments anymore. They send you to do the Nile. You've got Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Oh.
Good luck. That's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
We have a magazine in Phoenix or in Arizona, that's world renowned. It's called Arizona Highways. It's actually owned by the state of Arizona. It's a governmental publication. And we started putting that out, I want to say in the 30s. I mean, Denise was shaking her head. It's been around a long time, Denise, right?
Forever.
Yeah, for just about forever. You can go back to the archives. The building they're in has all the old covers and the archives and stuff. And it was the top photographers, landscape photographers in the world would come here to shoot for that magazine. It's the only magazine with worldwide distribution throughout the 60s and 70s. Even Vogue, there was American Vogue, but there was French Vogue. It wasn't American Vogue being shipped to Siberia and whatever. They had their own. Arizona Highways, you could walk into a dentist office in Qingzhou and there'd be an Arizona Highways sitting there. That's how famous.
Huh.
Today, it's just not what it used to be. And it's sad, and we can all be nostalgic for it, but it's just the way it is. It just is what it is. Things have changed and the markets have changed. So now how do we deal with that? I think we have to become more than just a photographer. I've been saying that for a long time. We got to help our clients succeed. Photography is just part of it. We were talking, some of you, I'll apologize. I think Dawn has heard me to say this. You guys have heard the 20-80 rule, right? 20% of your effort brings you 80% of your return. 20% of your employees bring you, all right. So we're in the book club, we're reading this James Altucher book. And Altucher then says, well, what if we did a 20-80 of the 20-80? So he takes the 20-80 and does a 20-80 of that. So 20% of 20 ends up to be like, 64 out of the first 80-20, 64 to wait a minute, I can't remember it. Now I'm forgetting the numbers. But anyway, he does it one more time and he comes down to 1 to 50. So he does the 20/80, then he does 20/80 of that, and then he does 20/80 of that, and says, look, one employee brings in 50% of your work. One thing you do brings in 50% of the work. And as I said in the entrepreneur class, I said, and I'll bet you that 1% is not taking photographs.
Right.
It's the marketing, the selling. Somewhere it's doing something other than what we do. And I think it's always been that way. How does now you do that project every year, Sid, where you like shoot for the city, right? Big arts thing.
I do. I have a magazine that I do stuff for every year.
And do you charge them, or is it a flat rate or something? Or
it's kind of, I mean, I've been doing it. It's one of these things where I've been doing it for so long that it's sort of a flat rate. They try to break it down per shoot, but it's better for me to just say, look, just say it's X amount, for 15 locations. And because once they start breaking it down to per location shoot, it really doesn't seem like it works in my favor. So I'm just going to think of it as just I do the project and then you just send me a check for X amount of money. Right. Because the more I think about, like, when you start breaking the numbers down, it really doesn't work out to a whole lot per location. So I just try to forget about that because that makes me kind of sad sometimes.
You monetize that pretty well though, don't you? You get a return on that?
I try to. I try. It's difficult because it's mostly all really small businesses. I give them a card and I say, look, if you're ever interested in getting together and talk about visually what we could do to make everything look really nice. I've never really been hired from anything that I've done for this stuff, but everybody knows me, and everybody, like if I walked into their restaurant in 3 months from now, usually I'd get like a free pizza or something out of it. But it's never really turned into that kind of stuff. And I try to, like when we do the sessions, first thing I tell them is that, nothing can be done with these images until they're published. But once they're published, I'll pick a couple of favorites of mine and I send them stuff that they can share on their social media. Usually I'll make them like little Facebook banners, like these long, narrow things. And they like that. And I'll throw just a little tiny thing down at the bottom with my name on it and stuff. But it's,
do you get back to them?
Yeah, I follow up as soon as the magazine comes out. I usually follow up with everybody that's on the list just to be like, hey, just wanted to thank you again for letting us, take pictures. The issue's out. You can pick it up at the newsstands. Here's a couple of little.
Hit them one more time, Sid.
Yeah.
Hit them 45 days after that one, so that their concept isn't of that. Now they see you as a trusted source, and now you're saying, look at the value of photography. Look what we can do for you. I'd hit them one more time. The first time when you're shooting for those types of jobs, they're more concerned about looking good.
Yes.
They're thinking all about them because you're photographing them for the magazine. Then when the magazine comes out, they're thinking, oh, my stuff's in the magazine. I better hire 3 more people because the folks are going to cram my pizza place. And then they're generally disappointed because that's not
yes.
And then later, they're thinking more about their marketing. And I think context has something to do with just about every decision we make in business. And I think that context of saying to them, one more time in the context of sales, you might mention terms like, and I know where you live. I know where your kids go to school.
I know everything about you. Don't forget that.
Nice little pizza shop. Be a shame something should happen to it.
That's right.
Oh God. I'm very jovial because I just hopefully, Jay, are you there? Jay, chat's goal.
I'm here.
All right. My wife wants to know why you haven't answered her.
I sent her a note.
Good. Because she said
I sent her a note about an hour ago. but I didn't see that she got it. So you
All
can
right,
tell her to
well-
look at her messages.
Where I'm thinking about the Sani, SANI, is that someone you know?
No,
Okay.
no, there's 200 dentists there.
Yeah, folks, I'm going to Mexico to finally have my teeth fixed. They want $1,500 per tooth here, and they're $400 per tooth in
It's about a third.
in Los Oldegondes. I can't
That's
pronounce whatever.
crazy.
Los algodones. It means cotton.
Okay.
In case that makes it any easier.
Yeah, and it's luckily we're only 4 hours away. We go down to Yuma. And
It's a good
3
excuse for a
days.
trip.
What's that?
It's a good excuse for a trip.
Mm-hmm.
A great excuse for it.
I mean,
You got to
know,
remember
I'm
where
gonna-
you're going, though.
I'm gonna
You're
do
going to
I'm gonna do a
Yuma.
whole YouTube video of the whole experience. Oh yeah.
All right.
So we're gonna go down there, spend 2 nights in a Yuma hotel, and go to the sand dunes and the whole bit, and then.
A lot of good tacos down there. You'll love
Oh
it.
yes, yes, yeah. Yuma's got the best tacos in Arizona.
Good Asian stuff too. I have my favorite Asian restaurant right now is right there.
Well, thank
So-
you for getting back to her, Jay. That's
Yeah,
appreciated. She just got a bid for some dental work that was $7,000, and looking
I
on
saw. Yeah, up there.
this thing here, it looks like she can get the whole thing done for about 2,200. So
Wow.
yeah,
Maybe about a third.
yeah, pretty cool.
That's crazy.
It's an easy. The guys, this particular guys are easy to work with also. So my wife, who is totally apprehensive about sitting in a dental chair, does fine. Although she does take one of her little pills sometimes to cool her out. But other than that, she's good.
I
She's
see no
very
necessity.
difficult for her to see a dentist.
I see no necessity for pills when you're in the country of tequila. I'm just saying.
Well, perhaps we haven't gone that route yet.
All right.
Yeah, tell her to check her email. Her messages.
So what's coming up on the horizon there, Sid? What's going on?
Nothing. Next week we're just getting this little camper all ready and registered and ready to hit the road and stuff like that. I did pick up on Sunday at the flea market. I'm a big flea market junkie. I found this for a whole $1, which was
Oh.
amazing.
Oh
Wow.
yeah, I've got that. That book is like,
$1.
I was gonna say it's like 100 and something bucks on Amazon.
Is
at
it?
the used
Oh, I don't
bookstore.
know. I
Yeah.
don't know. Guy must have bought, like, he just had a whole box full of books. There was a couple of interviews with movie makers. I bought another one that talks to certain directors about their first film. So like Richard Linklater and Slacker and stuff like that. And he had this, and I was just like, what do you want for this? He's just like, oh, he's just like, give me $1 a piece. Like, done. So that's why I'm a flea market junkie, because I never know when I'm going to run across stuff for crazy cheap prices. It's even got the little strap on it still.
Let me see the cover. Is it the green cover?
No, it's like a tannish cover.
Okay.
And then it's got this little like quarter-page slip jacket thing.
Yep.
And this is why I love, like, this thing. This is why I love her. Is this little, all this production that she puts into her shots and stuff.
Every
I'm a sucker for
single
look.
shot.
Like, I always want my shots to have that. It's just, I love it. I just love the
Yeah,
whole.
the
She's
produ-
incorporating everything that's in the production.
It's called production value, and
Yeah,
that's the
that's
thing.
exact-
You remember that shot of Sean Connery with the luggage?
Yes,
Mm-mm.
he's on
Oh,
the beach,
God.
right? He's on that
it's like I want to say
thing,
like
and he's like lounging on
a
the.
Tahiti or something like that.
Yeah.
Production value of the photograph is mind-boggling. I love it. I just pulled it up and said, you last purchased this item on March 26th, 2008. All righty.
So, hit up your flea markets if you can, because you never know when you're going to find all kinds of.
Yeah, there it looks like the
Lovely.
used in good condition are going about $75. There's
Oh, wow.
they have a paperback revision, but it's not the same. Not
Yeah.
the same. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's yeah. We're going back up north at the end of next week, so we're gonna make sure the trailer's all registered and ready to go and all that good stuff. And then I'm working on this thing with the sculpture thing. We're just trying to lock in some days where we can do some video recording and stuff as a thank you. They were looking for 1,000 paper cranes from little kids, and we got over 1,500 of them. So we're working on creating a giant paper mache branch that we're going to hang over 1,500 of these, and then the local hospital, their entryway, they're going to let us hang it up there and do a little opening and stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty cool. So we're hopefully the next week or so we're going to do some little videos with the puppets, because we use the puppets to teach kids how to make them and stuff like that. So we need to do sort of the wrap up stuff for this. So that's been kind of cool. Yeah.
Have you thought about doing the puppets on YouTube? Creating their own YouTube channel?
I started with one. I've got the little sloth dude, and he's into music and stuff, and he talks about records. And then I've got this green one with yellow hair, who's kind of got this New Jersey accent. And originally I wanted to use him specifically for photo stuff, because I was just like, there's so much ridiculous stuff going on in the photography world. Like if I got on a video and I was making fun of it, it would just be like, oh, Sid's just bitching about photography junk. But I've got this little puppet. He's a character, so everything can become funny for him. So like when, if he wants to talk about all the ridiculous stuff that we obsess over or compare or whatever. And it's just a matter of like, every time I get the studio set up to do all these little puppet videos, usually somebody calls for a gig and I break everything down. And so I just have to find the balance.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I want to do a takeoff on some guy and his wife who has a YouTube channel on photography, and they're just absolutely terrible.
Oh.
And they have like 5 million followers, and it's like, should you take pictures outside? We say no.
Yeah, it's so like this whole cult of personality thing that has been for like the last 10 or so years with photography and stuff. And there's certain people that everyone gravitates to, and it's just like, man, they say one thing and everybody just latches onto that. But there's a flip side too, where it's like, if that particular photographer has something negative to say, all of a sudden you've got this group of people that, they got their pitchforks ready and
they come out
and attack.
They
do. And it's,
you cannot be positive. You can't. You've got to be negative. And I've watched this creep into a local guy here, Dan the fireman, because Dan the fireman is a motorcycle. He has a motorcycle channel, and it used to be, writing tips and how to stay cool, how to go into corners. It was a really fun channel. And now it's like, why do people do this? 5 things to stop doing if you're a motorcycle. Yeah. And guess what? Yeah. His numbers have shot the way the hell, because he's basically scolding people. People want to be scolded.
Yes.
They want to join the club of going, yeah, I saw some people doing that. Those bozos.
Yeah.
But anyway, if you, maybe I'll get some puppets and I'll do the.
Well, now we got this little tiny thing that we can tow with my little car. We've already, like next year, we're already going to try to do a Yellowstone trip. So we'll just have to swing by with puppets with you.
Dude, if you go to Yellowstone, I'll just find some sort of excuse to, I got to go see Sid.
Yep.
I told him I'd give him this, this light, and
yes.
Honey, I got
no choice. I got to do it.
Cody, Wyoming. It should take me less than 8 days. I should be back. Yeah. He needs this light. Well, can't he get one at Home Depot? Are you crazy?
Not that one. That one. No, all you need to do is just paint a little red ring around it, and we can just call it a special Canon branded
professional light.
That's an L light. It's an L lens light.
Don't go in the summer, Sid. Let me just tell you that right now, people are being turned away. People who have driven from Massachusetts are being turned away. Yeah, it's a. I would say it's a crisis. The worst park is the most beautiful park I've ever been to, and that's Glacier.
Yeah.
Glacier is so crowded now that they said, to hell with it. Yeah. We're not going to put up with these crowds. And now they're only allowing a certain amount of people in. So you have to call in advance and get your number, and you've got a 2-hour window. Same with Rocky Mountain National Park. You got a 2-hour when you got to show up between noon and 2. And
yes,
you're allowed to go in the park.
The National Parks website, I was looking at stuff for National Parks passes. Certain areas, they're doing lotteries now. You have to sign in for a lottery. And if they pick you, then they'll let you in for 2 or 3 hours. But then you've got to let somebody else in. Yeah, so
go in if you go in September, you shouldn't have any trouble. It'll
Yeah.
still be beautiful. You'll have fall leaves, which are kind of cool. You'll have
Gorgeous.
fall leaves. It'll be crispy cool.
Yep.
At
That's
night.
right.
It'll be crispy cool. But the seeing the pictures of the traffic, 12 miles of cars sitting in line to go in Yosemite.
Yeah.
I went or Yellowstone. I went last year in August, and I didn't have any trouble. And I said to the lady, I said, I thought you guys were slammed. And she said, we were expecting to be slammed, but we're not, because the tourists weren't there from other countries. Japanese tourists, Chinese tourists, people from the Mid East, they flocked to Yellowstone in those buses, bus after bus after bus. They were gone. And even then, the parking lot at Old Faithful was full.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yeah, I don't need this. But yeah, September's the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you
I have
gotta
an
let me
idea
know
for
when
your
you're there.
puppet.
I'll give you
Oh.
some maps, buddy. I got some places right near Yellowstone that you absolutely must go see.
Okay. I'll make sure
without-
when we're getting
the
ready, I'll
trailer.
make sure to let you know. You can give us a little
Yeah.
list. Denise, what were you saying?
I have an idea for your puppets. I think each of you should have 1 or 2 puppets and do a Zoom meeting with your puppets.
Don't tempt me. Some Friday you might turn on and it might be the Sid puppets just sitting here instead of me. That's
I could even have a puppet here, we could have a bunch of people.
I'll be that guy. I'm not going to mention any names. I'll be that guy that's surrounded by lights and gear and stuff. And he's just angry all the time. Ken is trying to screw you. But he's got a name that's impronounceable. They can't even go, Ken is trying to screw you. We did a deep down. All right. And you know what? It's the government. The government and Canon have gotten together. That's where COVID came from.
that's the people you can't listen to. Like they're just
But he has 2 million followers.
no, and they're
That all
they're
agree
more
with
worried about like resolution and pixel peeping than they are actually about the job or the craft.
Yeah.
Like,
It's if you had to make an emotional attachment with an image, if you can grab somebody's emotion, you've got them.
Yeah.
And they won't let go of that picture.
Yeah.
Isn't it sad that we have so many photographers who don't emotionally connect with photography?
Right.
It's, I guess it would be the equivalent to the line of third chair violinists. They're really good.
right.
But never connected enough to make it to first
No.
chair. They're never connected enough to make it to that solo. But they're good practitioners. They can read the notes and they can follow the orchestra. I guess it's that in a way. But I think I look at photographs and I'm just pulled into them. How did a photographer tell me that he never looks at anybody else's photographs? And if I said his name, said you'd know him in a heartbeat, you'd know him. I'm like, what do you mean you never? He says, yeah, I don't look at anybody else's stuff. Most people.
You have to. You can't
really, boy.
You have to look at other stuff. I mean, that's so frustrating. We've got all kinds of different art of different kinds, like all over our apartment, and I've got it all over the studio. And to me, like when I go on somebody's website and I see something like an image, and I'm just like, I have that guttural, like, oh, like it's just so good. Like it's so good. You've got to be able to cherish other people's work before you can even cherish your own. Like it's just.
Not only that, and you're absolutely right, 100% right. Not only that, but I look at pictures not to steal from them.
No.
I don't look at pictures going, well, I want to find out what the latest thing. I look at photographs because the act of looking at a photograph is extremely important to me.
Yeah.
I look at it, I see it, I want to be engaged with that image. I don't pick it up, and I'm sure I'm speaking for pretty much everybody on this call right now. We rarely pick up a picture. I know Sophie doesn't pick up a picture and go, I wonder what lens he used. I mean, it's like, and after a while, honestly, you look at it and you kind of know what lens he used. I mean, if you
Yeah.
have to ask what lens he used, you're probably still in the beginning stages. Is that a wide angle or a 200 millimeter?
Yeah.
Really?
And you're asking the wrong questions. I mean, I've had people that they come in and they look at my work and they're literally like, okay, so approximately like with a measuring tape, how far from that leg of the light stand was it to the subject's, like nose? And it's just like, you don't ask us questions. You're asking me the wrong question.
Absolutely.
Like you need to be, like,
I want to know what you were thinking about.
Actually,
Yes.
it's a good filter question because the people asking that kind of questions, you just want to steer away from them.
Right. They're not into,
Yeah.
they're not, they're investing in the wrong thing.
And so that's a good clue for you to just like change.
Yeah.
The audience.
Yeah. You just sort of, funnel them out. But yeah, no, it's weird. It's weird. And I know shooters, like I'm sure, people can levitate it, but like there are people that I know where they got into photography because they thought it was a money-making thing. And then when they decided it wasn't work for them, they're just like, all right, that's it, I'm done. And it's just like, I'm just one of these guys where it's like, even if I didn't have this as a gig, I still have to make photographs. I still have to create images. That's just part of how I express myself.
Yes.
So, some of those, like, I don't know. Now I'm getting a little foo-foo, but
That's okay. Get frou-frou. We'll make
it. And all the stuff I've ever done, like all the stuff that I've done online, all the stuff that like when I was doing stuff for Dead Pixel, and every once in a while when Petapixel picks up something that I write, the stuff that I always get the strongest reactions from are the stuff where it's genuine and it's sincere and it's honest.
I met
And I
Sid
think-
because of an article he wrote.
Yeah, and that's the type of person that I gravitate to, is somebody that's like, a lot of people, like they're constantly worried about like, well, how do you do this? And how do you do this? And how do you find your exposure for this? And how do you talk to people? And to me, it's always been like, you need to sit down with yourself and you need to massage your own brain and figure out the shit you love. And then you start photographing that. If you love people, figure out how to photograph them. If you love toys, if you love thimbles, if you collect, cat statues, whatever, photograph that stuff, because photographing is saying, I love something so much, I'm going to document it, and then I want to show it to somebody.
Yep.
And so that's the biggest thing. It's like, don't, like when everybody's worrying about like, well, what makes money and what can I do? Just gravitate towards the stuff that you are passionate about, that you love, that you cherish, things that you have around you in your house, whatever, and figure out how you can turn that into something that you can share with people. And I think that's
Things that bring you energy. Things that bring you energy.
Mhm.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to be honest and genuine. A lot of people, nowadays, if you share something that, they're just like, oh, someone's getting a little soft on us. But it's like, like my first thing that I did for Dead Pixel was all about my wife and just how incredible she is. And she's my biggest advocate. And I was just, and the amount of I didn't get a negative response from that at all. It was just lots of people that were like, oh my God, like, it's nice to actually hear somebody say like, I love something and I love somebody because they're helping me out so much. And it isn't about things, it's not about like stupid marketable garbage that, it's like, while you're reading my blog post, head on over to Amazon and, buy some of my crap so that you can, it's to me. And that's the biggest hurdle for me has always been, and I've done enough now where it's just like, I've got to learn to ignore the people that respond negative to it. Like when I did the whole puppet proposal thing, that was a whole thing. But to me, it's always just been like the thing that I think people remember most about me, besides my work, is that I'm just like, no, you know what? I love that shit. And I'm not afraid of telling you that I love something. Like, I'm passionate about this stuff and I love this. And I want to tell everybody how much I love it. And I'm not afraid of like exposing that part of me. I don't know.
For those of you
Need
who have,
an article in the newspaper.
what's that?
It just that attitude just landed me a great article in the newspaper about my event next Friday.
Yes.
Let us know too, so we can post it up on our website and stuff.
Well,
What's your event? Is it?
I'm doing my photo booth.
The
again.
photo booth.
Oh.
And last Saturday I went to Nice to see an exhibition, just because I'd been in touch with that girl and she was nice and she does painting and it's a whole process. And anyway, so I just went because she seemed nice. And so I went to see her exhibition. Her whole process was very, very interesting. It's a mix of photography and paint and art, creation. So it's anyway, very interesting. And so we were just talking, and so she's seen my ad for my photo booth. So she asks about it and why I'm doing it and this. So I just explain. And at the end she goes, oh, because I'm also a journalist, so I could include it in the newsletter I do every week for my readers. I'm like, and she wrote this beautiful piece. I had to send her my blurb. And honestly, she turned it into like 100 times better. I read the thing, like, actually, I'm going to copy paste it for my stuff. And that was a beautiful gift.
This is what what you're telling me is, and I hear this all the time. What you're saying is when we go out and we talk to other people, we find opportunities.
Yeah.
How many photographers do we know who are, I'm very much a introvert. You don't find me at parties and stuff like that. I'm an introvert. When I speak in front of people, I'm an extrovert. But when, given my choice of, I'm inside, right? But I have always found it difficult to go to like these meetings where you go to, but every time I do, and I get up and I get out of the house and I talk to people, I find opportunities. You have to do, that's the part of photography, the social part, and I'm not talking about Instagram, the real social part that is, that's a challenge.
I would add, just as I was saying earlier, lately, in the past few months, I've been selecting, which is like, if I go to a place like that and I meet those photographers that are only about the technique and only about the amount of likes, I'm polite, but I shorten the conversation as fast as I can. And I'm careful who I give my energy to and who and so she was lovely. So it was just nice to talk because we have a similar view on art, even if she uses a different medium. So I'm like, yes, I can give my energy. And I'm very careful now who I give my energy to. It might sound like I've become full of myself. It's not that.
No, not at all.
No.
People asking about technique all day long is not interesting for me. And therefore, instead of trying to fit in, I'm like, no, actually. And so I don't waste energy. And I think that helps in meeting
find the right people. I went to college with somebody that I'd known my entire life. And he was one of these people where he was really nice to you in person, but when you weren't around him, he would badmouth whatever you were doing. And I remember we went to a Mary Ellen Mark exhibition in my area, and she was there and she was doing a talk. And I remember, like, the most important thing I took away from that, she talked about that exactly. She goes, you have to get rid of all the negative people. She's like, just don't even spend time, giving them any breath. Like, she's just like, you gotta write that crap out and get them out of your life, because it's just, there's no need for it, and it's just wasting your time.
Well,
Every time.
I was going to say, there's no reason to feel bad about this. There are only 24 hours, and some of them you have to sleep. So, choose the people that will be inspiring to you, or that you care for, or what have you. It doesn't have to be that you're being a jerk because you're not choosing to be them around the rest of the world. Just actively choose the best people for you.
Yes. And if you choose enough of the best people, the people who are not your supporters will remove themselves.
Yeah, they'll just dissipate eventually.
When you say, oh, I'm having a party and you've got 5 other really interesting people coming, and you're inviting your cousin because she's your cousin, and you hang out, and she's not going to want to come eventually. When it's family, it's the hardest. When it's family that's bringing you down, that's the hardest. But I've never met a successful anyone who didn't have support at home.
Mhm.
I mean, I've often wondered about Chris Christopherson's first wife who divorced him because he wasn't making any money at the record studio.
Right.
Well, she should have given it just a little bit longer. 4 months after the divorce, Johnny Cash sang one of his songs. And
That's
Or
right.
not marrying somebody for the planned income it's going to bring you.
yeah,
Probably a bad idea in the first place.
yeah, that's my wife has never been about how much money I make. My wife has been, are you happy? Are
Oh,
we happy? Are
great.
you happy doing what you're doing? Can, I mean, now if I was happy sitting around drinking tequila all day in my underwear, I'm sure she would have, may not be quite as supportive, but she's always seen. I remember Goldwater's wife, Barry Goldwater's wife, was once asked, he's gone all the time. He's a senator and he's always gone. And she said, I would rather have a 50% of 100% man than 100% of a 50% man. And I thought, yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So, guys, it's time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great discussion. We got
Thank
Cool.
you.
we got some good stuff going today.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right,
Uh,
catch you all in a week.
Yep. Bring stuff. Don, I've got an email coming your way, man. I made the email and forgot to send it. I was supposed to do it 2 days ago.
It's no problem. I have been, up to my ears, so no worries.
Yeah, it's coming.
And I sent you an email. Maybe
Yeah.
you got it. Yeah, I won't be able to. So you got an hour back. Woohoo!
I don't. I don't have an hour back because I'll waste an hour trying to figure out what I'm going to do with it.
You
One last thing
gotta
to you
put a
guys.
deadline on that. 5 minutes max to figure out.
One thing I want to ask you guys. You're kind of the brain trust. Okay, I have a class called Find Photo Clients Now. I'm redoing it, and I hate the name. I hate the name. Find Photo Clients Now has I don't like the word boot camp. But if you guys come up with anything, and you can I think almost all of you have, you all have access to it, so where the class is. If you get an idea for a name, it's got to have its own domain so I can really push it. I would so much appreciate any ideas.
Marketing Mark II.
What's that?
Marketing Mark II.
Oh, well, it's better than what I have, Lawrence.
Or marketing 102.
What's the objective for people to walk away with at the end of it?
It is a full system for finding clients and keeping clients as a commercial photographer. You guys are all inundated with my, you guys get my 3 contacts a day, my using Google, my filling in your channels, filling in your prospects and all these things. It is designed to build a real system that they can find commercial clients, enough commercial clients to be viable. And when you have someone like Stephanie in the middle of nowhere down in South Texas, and Teresa's in Montreal, right next door to another photographer that I know who's been crying the blues, and not Stephanie, Teresa, she's right next, literally 4 blocks away from another photographer that he's crying the blues, and she's busy as shit. She's like, I got to get a day off. I need a day off to get the kids ready and everything. She's going to have to, cram up. So it's all about doing that system. So that's.
I was going to say, get out there.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. It's got to be snappy. It has to be snappy, because I can always use a subtitle, right? Get out there, a plan for freelance photographers to something. So I can always do that. Thank you.
But go get it.
Yeah. All right. I was thinking about just do it, then I thought, nah, it's
No.
probably
I think
gonna.
that one's
team
taken,
of
actually.
lawyers from Portland on
That one's
one.
taken, Don.
You have to put a swoosh on it, though.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Everybody have a great evening.
Thank you.
Great rest of your days. Sophie, great seeing you again.
Thank
Lovely
you.
Everybody, take care.
Bye.
Have a good week, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Be safe.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right.
You too.